Hey YouTube, so I'm scrunching down a little bit because I want to get the light switch and me in for this opening shot. We're going to change a light switch today real quick, show you how to do it. It's very simple. This is a single pole light switch. They call it single pole, and that means there's one switch for like the lights, as opposed to a three-way light switch where you'll find at like the top and the bottom of a staircase where there's two switches for the lights, or at the end of a really long hallway, each end of a really long hallway. And the difference is this has two wires inside the box for the switch, and a three-way has three wires. So we're going to be doing a single pole today. The three-way is slightly different in that there's an extra wire, and some people find it confusing, but I say the basic rule for a three-way switch is put the wires in the same position. Don't mix up the wires. Make a little note, because usually I have a black, white, and a red, so make a little drawing of the positions on the old switch and make sure that your white, black, and your red go in the same position on the new switch. But today we're going to be doing a single pole. It's very easy. There's two wires. It doesn't really matter which way they go, although we're going to try to keep it the same as it was. This is a sensing light switch. You walk past, it's a motion sensing. It's in a hallway, so you walk past it or you walk near it and it turns the light on. It keeps it on for like 10 minutes and it shuts it off. It's very convenient in a hallway. You don't have to keep turning the switches on and off. But we're changing it today because we had put in an LED conversion in the hi-hat up in the ceiling, and this switch is not LED compatible. So it doesn't shut off. It just kind of gets dim and it doesn't shut off unless you shut it off manually. So I purchased a new sensing light switch that is good for these new curly Q fluorescents, and it's also good for the LEDs. So we're just going to be swapping it out. So let's get down to business. You're going to need a couple of tools. You're going to need a screwdriver. This screwdriver happens to have switchable Phillips to standard on the end. But you would need like a Phillips and a standard to make life easy. And you may find needle nose pliers very handy. You're going to need the new light switch. You're going to need a cover plate. And you're probably going to need a little electric tape. Alright, so we're going to take off our cover plate. It's two screws. Sometimes these are painted on. They got a lot of paint around the edges, in which case you may want to give it a little whack with your screwdriver, or if there's really a lot of paint, cut very carefully with a utility knife around the edge, but usually the whack with the screwdriver will take care of it. Cover plate off. The next thing we're confronted with is the two screws that are holding the actual switch in. So we're going to change to the Phillips head. And these screws are about 1 inch long usually, so it's not a big deal to get them out. Now I would like to point out that you would, in optimal conditions, you would want to shut the electricity off to this circuit. So you would go down to your breaker box, and if they aren't marked, you would flip breakers until you find, there's a lot of caulk on this, I don't want to rip the paint on the wall. You would want to find a breaker and shut the breaker, and by one by shutting the breakers off until you shut the actual light off. Alright, so here we go. The switch is out. The green wire is the ground, which is hooked to the box, and what I'm going to do with that guy, it's a ground wire. There's no current in it. I'm just going to cut it, and we're going to splice it into our new we're going to pull some insulation off the end. We're going to splice it into the ground in our new switch. And we're going to pigtail the end. Now we got the two wires for the actual switch. One of these is going to be a live wire, which is why you're going to want to shut the breakers off. But still, if the breakers are off, you always want to treat electricity with respect. So we're always going to consider that it is on in our own heads. So one of these pigtails is just to a single wire, and the other is to two wires, because the circuit continues on and it probably feeds an outlet somewhere. So we're going to not mix them up. We're going to keep them the way they are. The new switch has our lighting. Okay, the new switch actually comes with wire nuts in there. So we're going to use the new wire nuts, of course. We always want to use new wire nuts. Never want to reuse the old ones. We're going to open the blister package. Here is our new switch,